All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome. We are here today to posthumously recognize Mr. Daniel S. Weiss for his noteworthy achievements, and I'd like to, at this time to call up Daniel Weiss's wife, Dan, and anyone else who would like to join us up here to receive this resolution. Relative to posthumously recognizing Mr. Daniel S. Weiss for his noteworthy achievements and commemorating his dedication to the eradication of invasive species on Guahan and the Western Pacific region, be it resolved by the Committee on Rules of Iminatrenta na Legislatura en Guahan, whereas the late Mr. Daniel S. Weiss, Dan, was born on September 21st, 1970 in Minnesota. Dan moved to Guahan in December of 1996 and was employed for 18 years at the United States Department of Agriculture, Animal and Plant Health Inspection Services and Wildlife Services. And whereas Dan was married to Diane, they have 2 children, Amy and Aaron. Dan was a fisherman and hunted waterfowl. He was also an avid baseball collector and an amazing birder. Dan was a conservationist who seamlessly blended these passions with the Wildlife Services mission. And whereas Dan had always been a supporter of new ideas and research to better improve the capacity of the Wildlife Services and to better understand how to deliver the best product, his untiring dedication to public service was demonstrated by his actions in working on different projects simultaneously, either in research or on programmatic development. His availability and dedication have been instrumental in protecting the reputation of the agency and providing consistent, dedicated support. When new ideas were explored and developed, Dan nurtured the ideas and supported the efforts. And whereas Dan was at the forefront of invasive species concerns on the island of Guahan and in the Western Pacific region, as a wildlife biologist, he was instrumental in establishing some of the current efforts that are ongoing regarding the threat of invasive species on insular vertebrates. His noteworthy achievements include the Cocos Island Rat Eradication Project, the brown tree snake toxicant research and delivery from ground-based applications, and the BTS toxicant delivery via aerial application for larger landscape suppression. And whereas since 1994 there have been no BTS found in cargo shipments or aircraft bound for Hawaii, over 150,000 BTS have been removed from the transportation network, and there has been a recovery of the native bird population. And whereas Dan had the ability to provide technical assistance with wildlife hazard assessments for the AB Wonpat Guam International Airport Authority, the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, the Federated States of Micronesia, and American Samoa. And whereas Dan conducted himself in a manner that demonstrated a high level of professionalism in dealing with cooperators, senior level management, and field personnel, Dan treated everyone with the same respect and dignity, and his open-door policy allowed essentially anyone to seek his guidance and to discuss matters or concerns as they arose. His dedicated professional standards enabled the USDA WS Guam program to grow, thrive, and perpetuate the agency's mission. And whereas Dan's dedication, passion, and his love for life, along with his love for his family and his community, will forever be remembered. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Committee on Rules of Iminatrenta na Legislatura en Guahan does hereby, on behalf of the Legislatura en Guahan and the people of Guahan, posthumously recognize Mr. Daniel S. Weiss and commemorate his dedication to the eradication of invasive species on Guahan and the Western Pacific region. And be it further resolved that the Speaker and the Chairperson of the Committee on Rules certify and the Legislative Secretary attest to the adoption hereof, and that copies of the same be thereafter transmitted to the family of the late Mr. Daniel S. Weiss and to the Honorable Lourdes A. Leon Guerrero, Imagahagan, Guahan. Duly and regularly adopted by the Committee on Rules of Iminatrenta na Legislatura en Guahan on the 25th day of February of 2019. And here I have with me is Miss Diane Weiss, Daniel Weiss's wife, and I would like to present this to you on behalf of the Guam Legislature. And also at this time, if anyone has a few words that they would like to say in remembrance of Dan, please.
A beautiful tribute, so well deserved, And his whole family deserves this tribute as they carry on in his footsteps. Hooray for the Vices.
Good morning. My name is Tino Agan. I'm the Chief of the Division of Aquatic and Wildlife Resources. I remember Dan as a very formidable person. If everyone remembers, he's a fairly tall, stocky guy. But what always got me was his very cordial demeanor. He was very always understanding and open to ideas and very showed a lot of excitement. Also, he was an avid birder, and it was always an opportunity to talk to him about different species of birds that were out there. Also noting different new species that would just show up during the migratory bird season. So it's always an opportunity, and we always really enjoyed his company. Again, to the family, thank you very much.
I didn't prepare anything, but I do have to say thank you to everybody. And I wasn't going to cry, but denial is more than a river in Egypt. Dan would be tickled, literally, to receive this. He loved Guam, he loved birds, he loved his job, he loved the people he worked with. They're a great team, they're doing a great job, still doing a great job, and he loved supporting his cooperators like Dar and his wife and his family, of course. And I'm sure he's looking down on all of us today thinking that this is just awesome. So thank you, Clint, and thank you everybody for coming. I really appreciate all your love.
Thank you. I would just like to add to that I think he's very deserving of this resolution. I knew Dan as well through my work as a journalist and a reporter. I interviewed him numerous times, and one of the things that really sticks out in my memory is how passionate he was about ridding Cocos Island of the rats that were there because of this project. The idea was to put the koku bird, the Guam rail, on Cocos Island. But in order to do that, they had to get rid of the rats. And I don't know why, but for some reason, there was protesting against getting rid of the rats, and you guys can remember this. And there were some very heated public hearings that I covered as a journalist where he had to defend this idea, this plan to eradicate the rats on Cocos Island. People were scared about the rat poison that was going to be used, but he had good arguments for the level of poison was actually not harmful to humans, etc., and that ultimately this would rid the island of rats, and we would be able to put cocoa birds on Cocos Island. And here we are today. From what I hear, the koku are flourishing on Cocos Island, and they're breeding on their own in the wild, and that was due in large part to Dan fighting for that plan to be able to eradicate the rats there, and it worked. So I think that is a huge testament to Dan and what he's done and what he's capable of doing in his fight against invasive species. So with that, I'd just like to thank everyone for coming and recognize Dan again, and with that, we will end this resolution presentation. Thank you.